Hi, this is Bob K from Biker Pros. We're in Milwaukee for the Harley-Davidson Museum 2012 Custom Bike Show during the Milwaukee Rally. You know, I have Edge here with me from South Carolina, and he's come out and to help us run this show. And Edge, who would ever thunk it, man? Here we are at the sacred grounds of the Harley-Davidson Museum. And we're having an AMD Pro show, not just the usual Harley ride-in show. And it was just a few short years ago, everybody was saying, oh, custom bikes are dead. And instead what really happened was that people just cut back a little bit. They started building a lot of bobbers and doing more with less. And I think you were probably responsible for encouraging a lot of those builders, a lot of people call them garage builders, through an event that you run called the Smokeout. And I know the first time I went to the Smokeout, I was duly impressed to see what these guys did, just taking anything from Gold Wings to Honda 350s to old iron heads and making more with less and making some of the coolest bikes I've ever seen. So I know you've been running this for a few years now, so tell us, how long have you been doing the Smokeout, and what kind of initiated it and got this thing rolling?
Well, the Smokeout started out, we would write these articles about these bikes, and people wanted to know what we rode, and they would write in, they said, where are you guys going to be? Are you going to go to Daytona? Are you going to do this? And finally somebody said, hey, we'll meet at this hotel in Tennessee. So we all rode to this hotel in Tennessee, and we had like 75 people show up. It was just a ton of fun. We had no organized events, and someone said, you know, we need to get together every year. So the next year I did it at Cherokee, the Indian Reservation, and it just went from there. We just finished our 13th year, and it's been a ton of fun. And no one at the beginning, we didn't plan to ever have a show where we would have thousands and thousands of people come. It's just been totally being in the right place at the right time.
Well, the Smokeout is fun. I got to do the long ride one year and had a great time just going out on the ride and then showing up at the Smokeout and seeing all the innovations that a lot of young guys, a lot of old guys, just a good group of bikers that really enjoy motorcycling get together. It's real interesting how custom motorcycles have evolved. You know, it kind of started, I always figured, at the end of World War II, with kind of the guys coming back and stripping down their bikes and creating what we call today bobbers. And through the 80s and 90s, 70s, whatever, we went from crazy choppers to pro streets to all them crazy stuff, and then back to bobbers again, which is probably still the dominant style, though we do see a few baggers out there too. So let's talk a little bit about the bike show and some of the bike building that we see at the Smokeout.
The Smokeout was really completely unique when it first started. It's all about imagination over credit card usage for the most part, and it's sort of the introduction for a lot of people to bike building. Young guys can pick up a used metric bike and put a lot of time and imagination into it, and they're building custom bikes, and they have like $800 into the entire bike. And I've seen those bikes parked at Daytona where people just walk past a row of $30,000 bikes with $5,000 paint jobs and stop in front of that $800 bike and really focus on how this young kid set up a jockey hand shift on an older metric bike. And what that does for the industry, when you have young builders getting excited and building, you know, they might be building on a KZ1000 today that they picked up for $600, but they're aspiring to have a Harley someday. So these are the engineers of tomorrow. They'll start out on this KZ1000, then they'll move on to, you know, customizing a Harley, and then maybe someday they'll be in the AMD, an AMD level builder, and they'll be here.
Well, you're exactly right. In fact, in our AMD shows, we've come up with a new class called Retro Mod, even on the national, worldwide level, and that's because it allows these guys, we've recognized what they're doing and how talented they are, so now they can compete on a national and an international level with these type of bikes, and we've just seen some fantastic examples over the years. I think it was last year in San Mateo, We saw a KX100 done up cafe style that was immaculate. Everybody loved it. It was truly a case of more is less, less is more. Just really done up to the nines, and really a nice bike. And we've seen that with a lot of old Triumphs, the metric bikes, and really taking it to the next level. And you're absolutely right. These guys just go on. Eventually they get a Harley or they get some real nice British bike. They're doing cafe style bikes now. And it's bringing these young builders in, because we need the young guys to keep the industry going. So have you seen any new trends like at last year's Smokeout that might be noteworthy?
You know, every year there's just such a wide variety of what shows up at the Smokeout. I think maybe the more interesting question for me is what's happening there. How is that influencing the greater industry? I've been told on good authority that the black line, Harley-Davidson black line, came directly out of some of the builds that were happening at the Smokeout. And when they introduced the Nightster, I heard the guy had on a Smokeout t-shirt, and one of my buddies who was a Harley-Davidson manager went up and asked him about it. He said, yeah, we were there. This bike came out of the Smokeout. So you've got these young kids, and I should mention that the average age of the Smokeout is probably probably half the crowd is in their 20s. It is the young crowd. So I think these young kids are starting to influence the old foundations.
Well, I think that's some real validation as to the young builders having influence. The young builders are creative and talented as anybody has ever been, and that the custom industry is far from dead. I think it's good and healthy. It got shook up a little bit, but if I remember correctly, the whole economy did. So we really appreciate your efforts to the Smokeout and everything you've done for the custom motorcycle industry and just biking in general. Just having a good old time at the Smokeout. You have some great events, so we really appreciate everything you're doing, Edge.
But it's all about fun, and if it's fun, people will stay with it and aspire to it, and we're hoping that we're the AMD builders of tomorrow. These 20-year-old guys today, we're hoping they're the AMD builders of tomorrow.
Well, we would certainly welcome any of the builders from the Smokeout to enter our AMD or Ultimate Builder contest, and again, we thank you from the bottom of our heart for all your efforts. I know it's grown, it's been a grassroots effort, but it's really become quite an event, and I'll see you there next year. Thanks again, Edge.
Thank you, Bob. I really appreciate you guys giving us a stage and some time, and it means a lot to us that you recognize us down there.